Walt, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Good. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Just didn't want you to talk.
Whenever Tim speaks, it's usually very helpful.
Mhm.
All right. All right, is everybody ready?
Ready.
All right, I call to order the December 15th meeting of the Municipal Authority. We're just back from an executive session of the board to discuss privileged matters as well as personnel matters. At this time, we'll do a roll call. Maria Kane is here. Steve Mackel.
Here.
Walter Virginis.
Here.
Thank you, Walter. Tim Kelly.
Here.
Kevin Moyer.
Here.
Our solicitor, Mike Madron, is here. Dave Porter, our engineer. Stephen Neese, the township manager.
Here.
And Caitlin Sullivan on behalf of the authority, director of operations. Here. All right. At this time, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, everybody's had a chance to review the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the motion passes. Public comment, we have no members of the public here today for agenda items only. Anybody aware of any public comments? Okay. Moving on. Everybody's had a chance to review the minutes from the November 17 meeting. And I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second from Tim. Next one's on you, Walter.
Come on, Walt. Okay.
All right, any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next we'll take the treasurer's report.
Thank you. And first thing on the treasurer's report would be the November 2025, the monthly report. And we still have a healthy cash balance of $10,702,155.16. And then you'll find the summary report. So revenue does look to be back on track after we had a system glitch. So that seems, that's resolved and I've updated the report. There is a timing difference for revenue purposes. The difference is that the fourth quarter billing of 2024 is our first quarter in 2025. So this number will only increase because we will have the fourth quarter billing of this year and our sewer rates have increased in 2025. So these items will all be adjusted out as part of the 2024 audit. You will see these numbers. The number will change and it will increase. Beyond that, you'll find the detail report with a line-by-line breakdown.
What page are we looking at in the packet right now, sir?
For the detail report, you will find it begins on page 18. Sure. Also included is the the complete report, which includes the grand total balance of $185,104.82. That's our total that Portnoy carries for us now. And so far this year, they've collected $60,324.43. And lastly, there's the November 2025 aging report. And the total on that report is $93,243.30.
Hmm.
That completes the financial reports.
I would make note for you that if you think about the 90,000, 43,000 of that's within 90 days. So that, which is not uncommon for you. Like that's a normal period of your collection time. So it's, if that number's really relatively small that we're holding that hasn't been turned over yet. So,
That 30 is creeping up to 180 days though.
yeah, it is, but it's, yeah.
What internal actions do we take to collect these receivables before passing them off to Portnoy?
You want me to take that?
Well, they
Go ahead.
received a penalty notice from.
Yeah.
Or written in the mail?
Yes.
Yes.
And there was an entire policy that this board passed. Maybe if you wanted to look at that, there's quite the process in place that I think you're following, Caitlin, before.
I could bring that to the next meeting, or I can email that to the board members.
Okay, yeah, if I'm the only one unfamiliar with it, I'd certainly like to review. I just want to make sure that obviously we are doing a couple things on our end before sending our residents into collections for these things, especially.
Oh,
talking
yeah.
30
We took a lot of care in making sure that we're treating people, you know, fairly, equitably, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
I can send this
Yeah,
to you.
if you send it to me,
Okay,
thank you.
you're
Well,
welcome.
I appreciate the question because it's obviously important. We want to make sure, and looking at the policy, having another a set of eyes on it, would be a good idea. So that's great.
Almost just by default, the way the policy's written, most people will be at least 2 or 3 payments behind before they would ever get sent. And they would have received 3 late notices because of that before it ever gets sent.
Thank you.
Is that- Okay, next, moving on to the, and thank you, Caitlin.
Sure.
Moving on to the engineer's report, Dave.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of brief updates, starting with the Westchester Pike Sanitary Sewer Replacement Project. We have received the 18-month maintenance bond provided for 15% of the cost of the improvements for the French Road and Bryn Mawr Avenue improvements that were installed. That obviously will run for the 18 months from completion of those improvements, which would be the date that the authority sent payment to Jurek for that. The next phase of that project, just as a reminder, is to occur after the PGA Championship in May. So we're looking at June, July of 26 to reinitiate construction for the Westchester Pike portions of that project. Ongoing for the authority fog program, the LNG continues to provide their requisite O&M reporting. Last report received was November 6th, I believe. No update on Stony Knoll. The punch list related to the sanitary sewer project installation. So I'll be putting together mapping and getting some quotes for the authority to act in early 26 for the spring planting season for that. I was contacted by on the Newtown Edgemont Little League. I was contacted by Del Val Septic with some proposed modifications to the layout of their proposed sanitary sewer system to connect the snack bar and the training facility into public sewer. Had the opportunity to take a look at that, review it, and get comments back to the contractor on that. So my understanding is they're one of a couple of contractors that they've been in touch with. So it really depends on, obviously who they go with, but it looks like they're moving forward and they're on their way to completing that project.
Might that start as early as the spring? or-
That's what they're thinking.
They're
They want to
planning.
get something lined up this winter so that, when the ground thaws, they have somebody lined up to go out and work, get the restoration done early enough so that actually they moved one of the lines off of where the playing fields are, so they won't impact the playing fields. You just have to make sure that logistically they can put the grinder pump where they want to put it for access, and so that it doesn't impact any of the storm drainage that's going on out there. So, Hickory Lane Pump Stations, the LSA grant application was submitted before the required deadline for the Thanksgiving holiday anyway. So that's in. Now it's just a wait and see. Hopefully we'll get word that, positive that we'll get some funding to complete that project. Pump station sanitary sewer O&M contract. I got word from Delcora. They sent login information for the OmniSite guard dog systems. So I was able to log into that, take a look at what's been set up, preliminarily kind of feel my way around, refamiliarize myself with the system, and then we'll be set to start pulling those reports on a monthly basis so we can share that with the authority, similar to what's included in your report for RHM for that side of the township. So starting in the January meeting, I'll have a summary of our pump stations on the OmniSite guard dog system, and just an average daily flow for each one of them for the month. And then
I'm sorry, can you just refresh it? So Delcora goes online January 1st?
it's on, well, the OmniSite guard dog system is up and running now. So Delcora went out, the authority approved that cost. Delcora went out, did all the installation. They've sent out login information. I know Caitlin's been in and to take a look at it. In fact, she commented that she looks at it every day. So
Nice.
it's pretty neat. If you haven't had the chance to take a look at it, we certainly can get some folks the ability to take a look at it. But it basically identifies every pump station, the locations. You can pull up all the alarms that have gone on within a specified date range. You can search all the alarms for the whole year if you want. You can see who acknowledges all the alarms. So there's an accountability piece to it. And then you can pull up all the flow related to each one of the pump stations. So I just have to kind of familiarize myself with how the reporting is done efficiently. So I'll get in there and do that before the next meeting and get a summary to the authority as part of the either engineer's report or part of the agenda packet. We'll have a summary. The one thing it's not going to have yet is rainfall data. I mean, we can kind of approximate that based on some other information. Either PHL has rain gauge. I think that's a little bit delayed. You have to go through NOAA to get that information. USGS also has local rain gauging. We can probably approximate what local storms transpire over that month and correlate it with what the flow data is showing. So 19 Roberts, I think that's looking through that. We're going to have to decide, and I'll coordinate with Caitlin and probably Public Works to figure out logistically what the best approach is going to be to get in there. It looks like because it's a capped sanitary sewer lateral that's leaking, it has clean water coming into it. It's something that the authority is going to be obligated to do as part of a repair project. What my thinking is since we already have a contract with sewer contractor to do projects in the spring, that may be something that we could, get an additional quote from them to add that into the current contract. Or we can go out and solicit bids or quotes for it.
Did we get a call or something on this one? Is that what happened?
It was regular televising. I think RHM's regular routine televising of lines, they found it and notified Public Works.
I know there was a lot of construction at the corner of Roberts and Green Country. I don't know if that's the area.
Yeah, I didn't see any active construction when I went out. I wanted to get the lay of the land to see what that easement looked like, and it's pretty thick wooded
Okay. I mean,
along a
it's
street
further-
corridor.
Is
It's
it
not,
further down into the kind of lower
yeah, I
area?
think one of the lots is actually like a flag lot. And
Okay.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it sits well off the road. It's gonna be tough to get equipment into if we're purely using the easement from Roberts. If we're to explore alternative access, would have to coordinate with a property owner and maybe see if we can get a temporary easement over a driveway, or, obviously then we have to include possible restoration as part of that project, so.
Yeah.
More construction, gone through, the revisions that Moore provided as part of their, proposal. There's a little bit of a discrepancy between the lineal footage in the actual written proposal versus the exhibit that's attached to it in the map form. So doing a GIS takeoff of the highlighted portions of the sanitary sewer on the map yields a longer length of sewer line to be televised than what's in the proposal. My recommendation is to move forward with the proposal, so long as they're gonna honor the rate to televise and clean. So if we go beyond whatever the lineal footage in the proposal is, we're still only gonna get charged at the rate that's identified in the proposal. No update on Four Seasons or Rafferty. For Rafferty Sewer, they're moving forward with their connection to public sewer finally. Bob Rafferty reached out to me to ask if I could provide some mapping, some as-built from when they did the dealership expansion and from the sanitary sewer project, which I did. I sent that off to him late November. And that concludes my engineer.
I was thinking moving forward, I don't know, Caitlin, if you want to add to, it's just a thought, add to the engineer's report, anything outstanding that you might have, so that, we're all on the same page and it gets on the agenda otherwise. So that we can help if there's anything outstanding that you're looking for that might be holding up any approvals.
Okay, that would work.
Yeah,
That's how you'd like, that would work.
I think that might work.
This report as opposed to the operation manager.
Well, I think, like either Caitlin could send it to Dave at the end, like, might be a good idea to send it
In
to
addition to.
David before the meeting. That way he can say, no, I already sent that to you, or, so then it starts reducing the number of open items. You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
Maybe a few days before the meeting, so.
To just to elaborate a little bit, what Maria is referring to is coordination between building codes where they have a change in use or a change in tenant that comes in. Typically, they'll reach out to ask, does any sewage planning need to be coordinated? Or is there a capacity issue with what they want to do? And what the main issue is, gathering existing information of the current tenant or current uses at that premises as a baseline comparison to what their proposed use is, and taking the difference to see, do they owe additional tapping fees? Are they going to have to be billed for additional capital improvement? Whatever our per EDU charges are. So right now, the only mechanism that we have to track that is an email from building codes asking for some information. It doesn't always get tied to a land development project. It doesn't always get tied to a building permit. Sometimes it's just people reaching out and saying, well, what if I do this? So it can be staff intensive. And furthermore, there's really no application or fee or escrow to recoup the cost of the professionals to take a look at that. So that's something that, you know, Caitlin and I will take a look at. We'll work with Mike to see legally what we can do as far as an application to be able to reimburse that expense to the authority.
Yeah, I think having some kind of tracker would help us understand also what's going on and what is kind of holding or in process, but not on actually moving forward in the engineering phase. I think would help tremendously for us to understand.
Yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of the reasons, I mean, I think are because, you know, a lot of this is originated somewhere other than through Dave or through you.
Mhm.
You know, it's coming through the township and through, you know, other avenues and we don't have an official process, you know, to deal with it. Of course, Mike stepped out just as we were talking about this, but I think Caitlin, you'll weigh in with, you know, with Mike
Okay.
during the next couple of weeks or so and see if there isn't something that we can do more officially without taking up much more time tonight. So I appreciate that. Okay, I think that was it, right? Dave, for your report.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you for that. And operation managers report.
Yes. So just in your packet is the RHM numbers. I think that one of the nice things about this month is we had very little rainfall, but it actually highlights the challenge that's happening in that if you look at the date of 11/26, which was the day after the most rainfall we had,
Yeah.
with the 0.8, we jumped up to 815,000 gallons. I did a quick math and said our average daily usage is about 68 or 687,000. So on that day, we actually were 18% higher. So if it gives you an idea, that means there is significant inflow into our system during a rain event. And so it's one of those things that obviously that we need to start, and we've already started with RHM doing some cammering of our lines, starting to catch things like the Roberts situation is a perfect example of water that's just flowing into the system. And that seems to be flowing in even if it's not raining. So,
Right, yeah, it's an inflow issue.
so there may be, but this would actually be rainfall related. And so obviously there's something that's happening when it rains, there's flow getting in our system. And so we want to take a look at that. And so I know Caitlin's been working with RHM as well as the public works staff, and they're continuing to do some of our lines, but we may want to also pick up some more lines in 2026 that we're monitoring as well, because an 18%, that's a big increase. If we happen to have a month that we have a lot of rain every day, that would have an impact. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, because a lot of times it's hard to see in a report that you have a lot of days where it rains, and it's hard to tell what the piece is. But this month, we didn't have a lot of rain overall, and most of it actually is in almost one day, and it worked out really well to kind of pull that information out for you. I would make note on your KBX report, they did do, I think, 3 places where they did well cleaning, the Hickory Pump Station, the Goshen Pump Station, and also Springton Point. That's on your report. They probably had about a half a dozen alarms that went off over that period of time, and they responded and took care of those. So they're making that, they're covering all those things for us as they kind of wrap up their role with us over the, next, well, I guess we're down to what, about 15 days or so, 16 days. They've been continuing to do that. And the generator at Hickory, it's on that report. And I believe Caitlin has said that that's going to be done probably within the next week, kind of thing. Maybe a week and a couple days, depending on the weather, but that's the plan. Unless you have any questions, that's all that I have for you tonight.
Is all of these reports, certainly this.
They're all in the
report,
packet.
And they're all going to Delcora, so Delcora is fully aware of
Yes.
any current.
Yes.
I do have one thing to add, that on that report, the generator louvers are now operational at Camelot.
Okay,
That was
That's
an
great.
ongoing issue, but they will open when the generator starts and close when the generator stops running.
What do they do?
When the generator starts, they open, and then when it stops, then they close, that allow for the inflow of the air, correct?
Correct, yes. It's a cooling mechanism, just allow airflow over the motor.
Oh, into the building?
Yes.
Oh, I understand. I know the things you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, they're automatic, I'm sorry, they're temperature actuated. Actually, when power goes off, the power loss should trigger the generator start, and when the generator starts, it should trigger the louvers to open to allow airflow. Sorry.
Oh, no. So Delcor is gonna generate reports
They will.
for pump station okay. Great.
I can send them the last year to catch them up. If they would like further back, I'd be happy to provide that as well.
no, I think what you were asking.
Yeah,
if
just
we're gonna
future
start
going-
getting
Going
similar
forward.
reports.
Yeah,
Yeah,
going forward, we'll get reports.
I'm in touch with them a few times a week already.
Great.
And as Dave mentioned, I'm already on guard dog, every single day I log in to see. And, the other day I saw that an alarm was active at Newtown Hunt. So I called right away because I could see how it was disabled. And that day they were there actually replacing the VFD. That's also resolved as well, a Newtown Hunt.
that was KBX that did that
Yes,
at
and
that
he-
point.
Nice.
Exactly. How do you know I'm here? I was watching.
I'm watching you.
I was watching, yes.
Oh, God. Okay, great. All right, if that's it, then we will move on. Okay. Next, consider ratifying the reoccurring bills paid on check register A dated December 8, 2025, totaling $4,446.12. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Walter.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Consider approving the bills on check register B dated December 15, 2025, totaling $489,936.48. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
From Tim.
That's your Walt.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, regarding new business, possible approval of the preliminary budget, 2026 budget, which has been circulated. Has everybody had a chance an opportunity to review that? Okay,
Yes.
do I have a motion to approve the preliminary 2026 budget?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Walter. Any questions or comments on that? I think, given that we're approving it as a preliminary, we'll want to put it on the agenda again next month.
We'd be happy to help answer any questions tonight that you may have that you want to think about over the next month.
I think the one thing we've already said, that the fee schedule we wanted to increase, because it probably should have been increased on what was the name of it, Caitlin?
The certifications.
Sewer certification fee, we'd like to have that increased from $25 to $75, because it was supposed to be 25, it was supposed to be increased to 50 in 2017, I believe. So, we're making up for some lost time there, as far as what it would, with, reasonable incremental increases since that time. I think $75 sounds reasonable, unless anybody else has any comments on that. But we'll obviously approve it at the current rate of, what is it? It's currently 50. Yeah, so it'd be 75 in the next.
Right. Well, you'll see the resolution is a little further down.
Oh, is that approved separately, not part of
Yes,
the budget?
sorry.
Oh, sorry, I thought those numbers
11.3.
were used in the budget, so that's the.
They were,
That's correct.
Right.
You're right with that.
Okay,
but you have to set your fees separate.
okay, gotcha.
Yes. So the
Okay.
budget will change a little because if we increase that.
So the only additional question I had on the budget that, since you guys worked on it, which is great, the next item, the underwriting fee,
Yes.
did we have a fee in there for that for next year?
We don't, usually that'll
That'll be it.
well, we would get that number when we do if and when you do the refinancing. And as we get that number, then we would add that to the budget piece for you at that time. but you will also have additional revenues at that point as part of it. So,
Okay.
because normally you borrow enough to cover those fees.
Okay,
You don't have to, but most organizations do.
gotcha.
I would love just sort of a high level overview of where the numbers came from, who was involved in putting these together, who went line by line, and some of the main differences in the budget for 2026 compared to 2025. I don't know who the best person is to walk through it.
Do you want to start and I'll help you, or?
Sure. Well, I myself worked with Stephen Neese, the township manager,
Okay.
and then from there, Stephen Mackel came in as well as Walter.
Okay.
So the four of us sat down and worked together. After they left, I went back with Stephen Neese and made some adjustments. We changed a few line items, specifically engineering, interest, and electricity, I believe.
Yeah, so we looked, there was a couple things that stood out that we needed to address as when we met with Walt and Steve. And we also discussed, was there, we really wanted to have a budget. When we first presented it to them, I think we had a gap of about $60,000 that we were short. And so we really wanted to look back, could we get that down so that it was actually not a negative gap?
And this is a short with the anticipated increase that we're going to talk about later.
That's correct.
Okay.
But let me real quick, because I think, is this the first budget that you've sat through
This is
with
the
us?
first budget I've
Okay,
got.
so let me, if I can, and I don't want to steal Caitlin's thunder, but I want to go back because this was actually something that's been in place for about 3 or 4 years before Caitlin got here. And so I just want to kind of talk through what we've been doing. Caitlin did a ton of the work on this, so she knows all the line items really well. The one area that is in here that there's increases in that are not related to the source cert that we talked about is debt service and infrastructure fee. And so I wanted to talk about that for just a moment as to how that was determined and how we got to where that is. About 2022, I think it was, Dave and I sat down with the numbers that we had from the borrowing when we did the build out.
Mhm.
And when we did that build out, there were assumptions that were made as to how many EDUs would
Right.
be on our system.
Right.
There was assumptions that were made about how quickly those would come on and those kind of things. And so we went back through and said, here's kind of what we assumed. Here's really kind of what has happened, because
In forecasting the debt service
the
revenue.
forecasting, and then we forecasted that debt service revenue over to 2048 when the bonds would be paid off. At that time, when we started looking at that, we realized that with what we were bringing in, we were going to have a deficit. We would not have been able to pay the bonds off. And so we made a decision back at that point that we had to start increasing the debt service. And we didn't want to do that all in 1 year because the impact was too great
Okay.
on a household. But we needed to do that over a period of time. And it was decided it would be over the entire district or the entire service area,
Right.
both SR2 and SR3.
Yep.
And that was decided so to make sure, two things. One is that obviously it would have been a very large number if we'd only done it to one side of the township. But we also knew, and just what we talked about in the RHM side, there's repairs that need to be done on the eastern side. Those pipes are 50 plus 70 years old, kind of some of those pipes. And so they're going to need to either be replaced or lined or, maybe both, as some of the things that need to be done. And with that, we've also been doing this infrastructure fee that we've also placed over the entire township
Right.
with the intent that hopefully with the infrastructure fee, we'll stay kind of current and keep up with where we can, but knowing that probably within the next 10 years, we're going to probably have to do another borrowing to replace whole sections of line that need to be replaced, particularly those that are that 70 range, because they'll be hitting 80 at that point, and that's pretty old for sewer system lines. And so with that in mind, we said that we're kind of bringing the township together and saying everybody's kind of paying on those. And we're going to cover that new and old. Everybody's covering where we are with debt service and where we are with infrastructure fee. And so what we determined is we needed about $407,000 per EDU to handle debt service fee. And then we determined that we need $120,000 a year to cover infrastructure fee, to really have the dollars that we need to have to be able to stay on top of what we know we're going to have to do. And so that's the reason why we set that in place the way we did. And so those numbers are growing up over a 5-year period. And so we just balanced over a 5-year period, saying that we didn't want to dump it all in one year, but we would take a gradual step up over the 5-year period. So this year, going into 2026, will be year 4 of that 5, and we'll have one more year of that.
So that's why I see 28 leveling off then.
Yes.
On this.
And
I think
then,
it's important, Steve, just
yeah,
when you look at this page, it's hard to understand. This is a summary of the budget.
Mhm.
SR2 and SR3 have their own separate budgets underneath it.
Right.
And this rolls up to it. So the working session we had, we kind of went through every single line item.
and the detail, I think, was in your packet,
You'll see that in the FYI.
and it was in the FYI section of your packet. For those of you who wanted to get into the detail, but for purposes of what you were going to pass, you'll pass it at this level. So,
And then these, the transfer from capital that I see for 760 in 2025 and a proposed 445 in 2026.
yeah,
Where does that come from and how do we determine those numbers and what we're bringing in and shifting over?
yeah. So the transfer from capital was for the purpose of paying off the debt's full amount of the debt service. And so it's coming from basically one major area. And that is what we've collected in tap fees. As we've collected the tap fees, if you look further down on the budget, I believe it's if it's on the second page, it's page 56 of my packet. I'm not really sure how you're looking at that, but under transfer to capital, you'll see for like $811,000. And that's a combination of tap fees. And if we come back up, tap fees next year are only going to be 72. Infrastructure fee is scheduled to be 738. Do you see that?
No, I'm not seeing that on.
Okay, so if on the page that's your revenue page, it's a little bit
55.
shorter than
Yeah.
the expense page. If you look
Oh, okay.
down roughly, I think it's 7 lines, is the infrastructure fee for 2026 is 300 or 738,500.
And I see the 811 that you were talking about.
That's at the bottom of the expense page.
Go up a
The
page.
page before that is your revenue page.
Okay.
Did you find it?
Yep, I'm on the revenue page.
Okay, and if you look almost towards the bottom of that page, you'll see 72,944.
Mhm.
That's the tap fee. So if you add the 72 plus the 738, it should equal 811 if we did the math right. And
Oh, got it. So these
so
are,
that's what got transferred to capital.
and they're not really discretionary transfers. They transfer right away.
We have to actually do the transfer, and we'll do those at the end of the year and move all those dollars over.
Okay.
And so, but the reason why I'm pointing that out is that you saw the 72, right?
Mhm.
And this year, we're projecting 74, right? If you looked at just the one line over.
Right, for 25, yeah.
If we had shown you prior years, I think last year was probably close to $1 million. And so when you look at what we're using, which you see here, transfer from capital, which is the line that's kind of the first one that's boxed in at the bottom. And I think that's the one you asked me about, the 444,000.
Mhm.
That's coming from either this year's or prior year's tapping fees that we've set aside for the purpose of paying the gap
Right.
in the debt
Debt.
service until we get up to the $407 per EDU unit and all the units paying in. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. So that's how that was the decision. That's how we said we could go 5 years without having to raise it immediately.
Right.
Because we were getting tap fees, people were buying into the system, and those dollars were to help pay off the expense of putting the lines in the ground.
Yep.
And so that made total
We
sense.
folded it in right away.
We just folded
Picked it
right
up a
in,
little bit.
and then the goal, ultimate goal was that we would have enough dollars in 2025 that we would have brought in to cover all of 2026. So that when we got to 2048, which feels like a long way away when I say that, but it's, what, 25 years roughly? When we got to 2048, that would be, you would hopefully not have to have a payment. One of the things we found out when we were working with Mike was that we really couldn't add the debt service fee every year to the tap fee. We couldn't just arbitrarily do that. We have to actually do a study. And so we haven't done that study. So once we get to the 407, we'll probably make the decision to go ahead and do the study and say that should be added to the tap fee. But until we do that, we actually have a gap at the end. In 2048, I think we're about 750,000 that will be short in what we would have collected for debt service fee to be able to pay off the debt service. All that being said, that assumes that we don't refinance or we don't do anything else, but we have a possibility of refinancing. We'll be talking about that later tonight.
Okay.
Does that help answer all your questions?
That answers a lot of my questions, and it gives me some appreciation for the effort and forward thinking put into getting these numbers together. So I appreciate it.
The other thing that I would just make comment on the infrastructure, just to give you an idea. And Dave, I think the project that we're doing, the 4 projects from last year were about 375,000, if I remember, or is it more than that? It was so.
Closer to 700.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I had the amount that we just did. didn't
Yeah,
I?
it was initially 300 something thousand for just the Westchester Pike part.
Yeah.
Then we rebid everything and then we added some stuff in.
Yeah, so it ended up being about 700,000. If you look at what we're bringing in the infrastructure fee, you'll see that we basically going to spend on that one project. We would spend an entire year of infrastructure fee just to do those minor projects that we were doing. So it sounds like a lot of money, $700,000, but if we look at the percentage of line that we actually did, it's a very, very small percentage of the overall line that we have in the ground. So it's not going to cover everything, because I think over the 20 plus years that we do this, we collect about 21 million, but it's just going to allow us to be able to do basically, about $800,000 worth of work every year, and stay on top of it. But it's going to take way more than that if we're going to have to replace whole sections. That's why I wanted to be clear why I said I think there have to be another borrowing coming down the road to help do the older lines. But this would give you the ability to kind of stay on top of those small projects and not have to do a borrowing for every small project, but that you would be able to just borrow on the really big projects that you have.
And kind of to add to that, right now we're in the position where we're looking at the problem areas, right? So these are the most significant areas that need repair or replacement of sewer line. At some point, we're going to get to a point where we're going to look at areas that aren't severely damaged or dealing with broken pipe or a lot of inflow, and we can line large sections of the sewer that will, extend out the service life of the infrastructure while spending less dollars per foot on the rehab portion of it. So you'll get more for your money after we get the larger problem areas. We're dealing with things like Westchester Pike, where there's already, we're ripping up pavement, utility conflicts, other stuff. where we're gonna have to restore a lot of stuff, that adds a lot to the cost of doing the repair, so.
I hope that gives you a good balance of, the idea was to be forward thinking and put you in a position as a board that you could make good decisions and you weren't always having to worry about where the next dollar was coming from to make those decisions.
Appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you, Steve and Walt, for putting the time in on behalf of the board to go over the stuff.
And Steve and Walter, do either one of you have any other comments
No,
regarding?
there was a lot of work that Caitlin did and Steve did prior to, but we had a good working session, went through literally every line item with an increase or decrease. So
That's
Thank you.
great. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, so we have, I think, a motion on the floor that's been seconded. Do we need to revise that, or do we want to go forward and just approve the budget? But I think with that one change, we may as well
I think you can.
continue as preliminary.
I think you could say this is that preliminary budget.
Yeah.
And you could pass that with the intent to pass it as a final budget at your next meeting.
Yeah.
And that way, everybody kind of, like, you're not hiding anything from the public. You'll have had it at two different meetings. And it'll be clear for folks to know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, so with that said, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. In your packet, I think there was an underwriter engagement proposal. Consider approving this proposal from Stifel, the potential underwriter for potential municipal securities transactions for guaranteed sewer revenue bonds or notes refinancing the Series 2018 bonds. Do I have, do we want to make a motion on this? I'll make the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Tim. Sorry, Walter.
That's right.
All right, any background information you want to provide?
Yeah, so I just, Mike's reviewed this as well, but I just want you to understand, this is not binding. This is opening you up for the opportunity to look. You might even consider passing several of these over the next month or two, so that you can work with a couple different underwriters and make a decision what you want to do. But this allows us to start having the conversations. It allows them to have this conversations with us to really look at the refinancing. You may say, why do we want to do that? First of all, this will be the first year that the bonds are callable, which means that we can actually go and before you couldn't just go out and take the bonds back, pay them off. You had to wait until they were callable. So they're now callable and there's certain series that are callable. And so you can go out and bring those in. And with that, there's always that potential for savings. And that's the reason why you would do it. I think the first set of numbers I've seen is about 1.5 million. It makes it worth it. If you can save $1.5 million, I'd rather save that money and put it to actually doing something than I would paying off interest. So I think that's a good win. The thing could be that between now and this time next year, if the rates continue to go down, you might even have some more savings. We had a really good time when we bought the bonds the first time, but those bonds that are out, those 20 to 30 year bonds, those are probably all about like 5% or 4.5%. And we may be able to get those down. And if we can get those in the 3% range, it saves a lot of money. And so that's the idea behind this. But this allows you as an organization to start having those conversations with the underwriter, start getting things in place.
Do we want to start lining up some proposals from?
That's what this would allow us to start doing.
Right, so I'm just wondering, wouldn't it be more efficient for us to get more than one proposal at one time?
We're going to.
We're going to get you.
Under this particular organization, like Stifel would go out and get them, or you're saying
No,
they're just one of those?
I've been contacted by RBC. They're gonna give us something next month.
Okay,
So you'll have Stifel, you'll have RBC. Steve and I were talking earlier about talking to Del Val, in case this could be done by note. So, we're gonna explore a few options.
okay.
In number 7 and 8 in this on page 61, they outline in 5 and 6 sewer district 2, sewer district 3, and you can see the difference in the quarterly flat rate. And then there's there's a different rate in number 7 and 8. Is that for District 2 and sewer District 3?
I think.
You're
you moved
jumping
ahead.
down to the next item, I think.
Yeah.
I did.
Did I miss something?
I think you're in the resolution now.
Oh, I'm in the resolution?
Yes.
I was.
I was saying,
Yeah.
yeah, you're actually past the contract. The contract ended on page 59.
It's
Oh, I was.
very short.
Gotcha.
It's very short.
Right.
Because all this really does is allows them to have actual
Bring it,
conversation with
yeah.
us.
I mean, I'm more than happy to, like, I mean, it seems to make sense to approve this resolution. I just trying to be efficient, that's all.
Yeah.
Like, let's bring in as much information as we can, and I'd love to hear some presentations from, you know, a variety of institutions, so.
I think that's beneficial.
Yeah.
But this way, Caitlin and I can start having those initial conversations and start getting some things together. We'll get Mike involved and make sure everything's in a good place, and then we'll get you some really good opportunity to hear from several of them. And
Yeah.
then you can make a decision. You probably are gonna wanna do something in the early summer,
Yeah.
like maybe as late as July.
Okay.
I think your bonds, come due in, September. And so we need to be ready to pull the activity to be able to get the borrowing just ahead of the bonds. So that when the bonds come due and callable, you can actually call them and pay them and then move on.
Yeah, so let's, yeah, so we'll start with this, okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we're moving on to what Steve is anxious to talk about. Consider approving resolution to 2025-06, setting sewer rates and amending the fee schedule for 2026. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tim.
Second.
Second from Steve. Questions or comments on this one? I think the only comment I have is that we'll approve this one as is, but then next month we'd like on the agenda a revised 25 fee schedule for 2026, a revised fee schedule for 2026.
What does this represent as a percent increase? I didn't.
So there's no percent, and there's no increase specifically related to the rate that somebody's paying for the flow of sewer.
Okay, thank you.
So we didn't put it as a percent increase. This is the only increase that you have in here is the increase, only increase is, I should say it that way, is to the infrastructure fee and to the debt service fee, and both of those numbers are taken into account. Then in both districts, and then the other piece that's in here, and I forget which number it is, but the which one is the $50, Caitlin? Is that?
Yeah, number 8 had
Yep.
that typo in it that I thought you were gonna, I
Yeah,
had
it
pointed
says-
that out earlier.
It's $43.55.
Like the written out
Got
number
This is.
is different than what's in
correct.
parentheses.
Oh,
That-
my
remember I
apologies,
said-
I missed that.
Yeah, I sent you an email on it, but maybe I wasn't clear.
No, I think you corrected it, and this is just the old version.
Yeah, I think this is I think you did correct it, Caitlin, and we just ended up.
Yeah, Maria sent you an email and you responded with a correction, although candidly, I didn't look at your correction, but.
I
It
think
was
I-
I
specifically,
would correct it and
Right.
make sure you have the right one,
Number
because
8.
it'll be amended.
Yeah, we're doing it next month anyway, so that's.
Okay, the fee schedule, you're referring to the fee schedule, Steve, about the $50 sewer certification?
Yeah, I was just looking, I didn't see that on here, so,
So it states on here that the fee schedule is attached,
yes, okay,
and these fees are
okay. that's
listed
fine.
on 2026, the fee schedule, which is right beyond.
Okay,
behind that.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
which is 63 of our packet.
and then that fee schedule's attached for you, yes. It also gives you the fee schedule on the back for, Fort Lawn.
All right, do we want to approve it, or given that we have
I-
to make a couple corrections to?
I think the advantage of going ahead and approving it is that anything that we start doing on January 1st, we can charge what this is. And then if you make the adjustment at your first meeting in January, we will catch anybody from then on,
Okay,
whatever
and then
adjustments.
we could do subject to just a That was just a typographical error in.
That's a
number eight.
typographical error, although candidly, I'm not sure where the $43 is correct or the 5740 is correct.
5740.
Okay, so I think you just want to specify that in your motion, that
Oh.
paragraph 8 will be 5740.
It also, sorry to interrupt you, but
No.
on the fee schedule, it also says 5740.
Mhm.
Consistent.
So that was just my error. I
Yeah, yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
And what's the
The word
twenty
that-
twenty-five number for the debt service fee? My question is, what is the increase we're
What,
approving?
where did it go from?
Yeah,
That was it went from, excuse me,
The
43.
Oh, that ex-
$43.05
ex-
up
that's
to
a
the
quarter
57.
fee as well.
Okay.
That should go-
Okay, so I think we have, did we make the motion? I don't remember.
I don't think you made a motion.
I
Okay.
think I have a
So-
motion made by Tim, a second by Steve.
I think we need to get that motion amended though, so that we
Yes.
include the correction to number 8 as
Yeah.
part of the motion.
All right, thank you.
Even
So-
if you just say corrected as per the discussion, so you don't have to,
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the resolution amending the fee schedule for 2026 revised per our discussion this evening.
so am I editing the motion text on the approved agenda right now?
yeah.
Or
so
To
I would-
state
I
what
would-
Maria is saying?
I would get the agenda amended and reposted, because I think the Sunshine Act says we should do that. And this is included as part of our, as an exhibit to the agenda, right? Like on our website?
Yes.
Okay, so we should correct this, put it up on the website, and then the minutes should reflect the motion includes the change to the paragraph 8 of the resolution.
All right, so shall I?
Would that make sense? Kev?
Yeah, but that would need that.
I think that,
I
I think
need
that,
to make a motion now to amend the agenda. We have to vote on that. And then
Well, that's
another
probably,
motion.
just amend the agenda. You're just amending
well, we're amending
the
the,
document,
The
you're
document.
amending the resolution.
Yeah.
Right, so I don't think you're actually amending the agenda, but
Okay,
I am saying that I think we should
Post
post
it, yeah.
something that's consistent.
gotcha. Okay,
We're about to
So
lose
that's
Tim's
on-
vote.
that's on you. That's on you, Kate.
So I think that what you want to do is, I think if the motion maker, who was Tim.
You got another 20 minutes, I will order.
Tim, you made the motion.
Yes.
So,
So
Can you
if
change your
Tim
motion?
agrees to the change,
I
Yes.
agree to the change.
then so he would amend his motion accordingly. And then if Steve agreed to the change, he would amend his second
Okay.
in that
sounds-
way.
That sounds wonderful.
And then I think you could do the vote at
Yeah,
that
we
time.
could go strict Robert's rules and say the motion already belongs to the table, but let's just do that. As long as we get the minutes right, we'll be fine.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So on Tim's amended motion, reflective of our discussion tonight and Steve's amended
Agreed.
second, do I hear yay or nay, everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the minutes should include all of that, right? Just make the motion right the first time and we'll be fine.
All right, perfect.
yeah,
right?
okay.
So I can edit the initial motion,
And edit the initial
1123,
motion, yeah.
then it should say,
Motion to approve with the amendment to paragraph.
With the amendment to paragraph 8.
typographical amendment to paragraph 8.
To correct, amendment to the motion,
The amendment,
Correcting-
typographical amendment to correct.
correcting the
paragraph
paragraph 8. Okay. All right, that's it. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, I adjourn this meeting.
Thank you,
eight.
Maria.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.